right, ladies and gentlemen, this is your host, Joe Imbriano, the Fullerton Informer, coming to you live from the busted up streets of Fullerton, California, on this Tuesday, October 18th, 2022. Under sunny skies, about 65 degrees in the Southern California, a little bit of haze this morning. Kind of a normal weather pattern for this time of the year, but nonetheless, not normal in the sense of the word. This is your host, Joe Imbriano, PO Box 4121, Fullerton, California 92834, on the web at thefullertoninformer.com, WiFiDangers.com, VaxDangers.com, CellTowerDangers.com, Disney666.com, Apple666.org. On it goes, folks. Yesterday, I got this email from this, I guess it's an alert from this social network platform. It's called the Next Door Neighbor platform. And there's some interesting things on there, you know. But yesterday, what came to one of my feeds was this climate action group, right? And apparently there's this group that is ready to spring into action to fight climate change. And I kid you not, folks, within 2 minutes of getting that, I look outside up in the sky and there's all these lines in the sky. X marks the spot all over the place up in the sky, right? And boy, they weren't kidding, right? The climate action plan is in full swing, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen? It's called weather modification. Now, I'm going to kind of jump all over today because I really don't have a set topic to discuss there. I have a whole bunch of little things I want to talk about. And a lot of things have been on my mind, and it's not easy for me to completely expound on everything all the time every day, because quite frankly, it's very painful for me to not only focus on this stuff all the time, but to elaborate on it. And when I see some guy in a hoodie slouched down at the traffic median, smoking the crack pipe or whatever he's smoking, and when I look at how he got to that point and what's been done to him and how it's all intentional, and although I don't support and condone all these people drugging it up on the streets, a lot of them are victims of a system that has destroyed the males in our society, turned the alpha males into emasculated wussies or drugged up, doped up, drunked up perverts, right? Or violent, psychopathic criminals. Because everything is designed to destroy, ladies and gentlemen. Because if it wasn't, they would not be able to maintain control over us. You see, the deniers of Jesus Christ hate every human cattle that walks the face of the earth. And their ultimate plan for us is to kill us, okay? Now, they're not going to walk up to us and roll out the guillotine and put it on national television. They're going to be very subtle about it, right? They're going to come at you when you're very young and tempt you with these sugared cereals and put these cartoon characters on them, and then send you to the dentist so they can fill a tray with sodium fluoride and have you guzzle it as it leaks through the plastic tray as you soak your teeth in it when you're a little child, right? And then they have your parents make sure that you use this thing that has sodium monofluorophosphate in it on your toothbrush every day. And then they send you away to be logical, to be responsible, to be practical, to be cynical, to be so intellectual. And then there's times when all the world's asleep. The questions run so deep for such a simple mind. Would you please tell me who I am, right? Remember the Logical song by Roger Hodgson and Supertramp? Remember those guys? Breakfast in America, the cover of the Breakfast in America album. looks like a bunch of breakfast implements, salt and pepper shakers, Manhattan, the harbor, the trade centers, right? And then the album sleeve, if you pull it out, is the view out an airplane window, looking at the Twin Towers, 1979. The year Benjamin Netanyahu coined the phrase, the war on terror. Do you remember when all the questions ran so deep when you were younger and your solution was a Coors Light can at the beach or a Doobie Brothers blunt inhaled deep into the lungs? Remember all the things that they told us would solve our problems and make us happy? Remember? Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. Remember? Oh, what would you do for a Klondike bar, huh? Really? How about the Clydesdale horses? Right? This bud's for you? How about the Black Velvet? Did that work out? How did all this stuff work out for you, huh? And all you rich men of the earth, how did all the wealth work out for you as they finally got you on tape engaging in lewd acts with minors so they can blackmail you and control you? How did it all work out for you? You pastors that went to these seminaries and you learned the errors of your ways eventually after being exposed to the lies of premillennial dispensationalism and how it takes the book of Revelation and the New Testament and ties in all of these fulfilled prophecies with the fulfilled prophecies of the Old Testament and has created a science fiction novel that is used as a playbook for a geopolitical genocide that is about to be unfolded on the earth. And yet you still double down and serve the deniers of Jesus Christ. You who run for political office. You know, there's a congressional race in my community, and both of these people are complete morons that are running for this office. One of them has a slogan that says, "Stop inflation." How do you stop inflation? What is inflation? Well, I'll tell you, in 1968, my dad bought his first house in Orange County for about $22,000, a little three-bedroom house for $22,000 in 1968. And that house today is worth upwards of $1 million, right? Right? Now, the wages didn't go up that much. As a matter of fact, the value of the wages went down that much. Inflation is caused by criminals that print money out of thin air and print as much as they want of it, anytime they want, and set their own limits without any restraint or control by the people. It's called the Federal Reserve. And the more they print, the less it's worth. And the more they print, the more money chases stuff. And the more they print and the more money that chases stuff causes the commoditization of everything from housing to Twinkies. Okay? And so the more money that chases stuff, the more expensive it gets, and the more you have to work to get it, right? That's why it takes 5 incomes to buy a house now, not just one. My father was able to buy a home in Orange County, California in the 60s with a 4th or 6th grade education, whatever he had. He couldn't read or write. He worked in a factory, and he was able to keep his wife home to raise the children. And he was able to eke out an existence, although it was very meager and very tough. He was able to do it on 1 income. Now it takes 4 incomes to buy a house in Orange County. Or 2 really good ones, right? 4 mediocre. How do you stop inflation? Well, I'll tell you, get rid of the Federal Reserve. Are any of our congressmen or women or candidates going to abolish the Federal Reserve? No. because they're working for the devil. They're working for the deniers of Jesus Christ. They're controlled. Every aspect of our society, the schools, take, for example, the schools. Do any of you remember when you were very young? Any of you remember the feelings of exhilaration and excitement that you got as a child when you went outside and it was windy and all your friends were outside playing and it was time to play ditch 'em or hide and go seek, or you would ride bikes in the street or go to the park or go camping? Do you remember that feeling? I don't know, maybe when you were like 6 or 7 or 8 years old. Does that ever come back to you? I still feel that all the time. The memories are very vivid, right? A lot of fun growing up. What have they done to 6 and 7-year-olds? Have you seen the television programs and the cartoons for the young children? The magical age of innocence and joy and discovery? Have you seen the curriculum? Do you know what the school districts are doing to these children? Do you work for these school districts? Are you a teacher? Are you okay? How do you sleep at night? Well, maybe that's why your trash can is full of beer bottles and alcohol bottles like my neighbors, right? Because they have to sear their conscience with ethanol because they work for the wrong side. The schools have completely turned on the children. Look at what they're being taught. Everything, the children's minds are being filled full of absolute worthless garbage, and they're up till 2 o'clock in the morning staring at a backlit, blue light emitting, microwave emitting infertility pad in their lap, trying to forcefully imbibe this literal garbage curriculum that they will never use ever in their life. And the best years of their lives are being stolen from them as they're being turned into insecure, miserable, unhealthy zombies. Oh, and the sports programs that tear up all their joints and wear out all their connective tissue as they're fed glyphosate-laden wheat that continues to destroy their connective tissue. I'm literally behind a Pepsi truck right now. Boy, isn't that great for you, huh? Pepsi, huh? Remember? Oh, Coke versus Pepsi. Remember? Well, they used to have the Pepsi challenge. You know what they should have done is they should have shown which one dissolves your tooth enamel faster, right? Or which one has a greater effect on insulin resistance, right? Disgusting, caramel color laden, sodium benzoate laced, carbonic acid loaded up, high fructose corn syrup, tooth dissolving, bone dissolving, disgusting, obesity inducing, diabetes inducing crap. And they fluoridate the municipal water instead of the soda pop, right? Isn't it amazing, ladies and gentlemen? And they put these pictures in front of us of these spinning balls called the Earth, and they put these 33rd degree Mason alcoholic liars in astronaut outfits and parade them around. And, they take this paper mache aluminum foil wrapped jalopy and put it in a studio and have Stanley Kubrick take his fancy cameras and film it and pipe it over a black and white signal and put a bunch of static in it and try to hide the shadows. Make sure there are no stars in the background so everyone could be hoodwinked by the fact that there's no points of reference to disprove all of the fraud, right? And yet they tell us that Musk has all these Starlink satellites floating around up there, right? And the Ukraine war is being aided by Musk, right? The guy that put electric cars all over the place. Most of these things are just basically, rolling surveillance systems with all these cameras on them. The people that are riding around in them, there's all kinds of electromagnetic fields in these things. You don't want to sit near an electric motor. You don't want to sit on top of an electric motor. You don't want to be inside a bunch of millimeter wave and Wi-Fi chamber inside the middle, right? And, these things are just rolling around taking pictures of everything everywhere, and Elon Musk can just push a button and shut all the cars in the world down. One button, over. It doesn't matter where you are. Do you realize the Hunger Games model is a lot closer than you think, right? And I know, some of these apartment buildings or condo complexes won't allow these electric cars in the parking structures because they can catch on fire and just kill a bunch of people, burn the whole thing down, right? You ever tried putting out a lithium battery fire? No fun, ladies and gentlemen. So, as children, they coax us into candy cigarettes and, I wish I were an Oscar Mayer wiener and, eating all this sodium erythorbate and sodium nitrite laced cancer tumors that are ground up and poured into a pork casing. And they tell us to put ketchup and mustard on it, and they call it a Dodger dog, right? Right? The things they told us, right? Remember the deviled ham? I remember my mother, she would give me look, she didn't know any better, folks, but, she used to send me to school with a deviled ham sandwich on white bread with a Hostess fruit pie. I wouldn't do that to my children. Do you? Really? Did she know any better? I don't think she did. I don't know. She's not here to ask. She did the best she could with the resources she had. The schools didn't teach her anything about nutrition. The television did nothing but advertise poison. The doctors did nothing but recommend more injections and antibiotics every time something went wrong, or remove another vital organ, right? That's all they did. Take out this, take out that, cut this off. The perfectly healthy child, right, comes out of the mother's womb, and they give them a pill to dry up their milk so they don't have to nurse, and then they give them coffee creamer to feed the child. While the child's coming out of the birth canal, they clamp the cord before the placental transfer of blood is accomplished into the newborn. And what is awaiting the child is a bunch of Neosporin to go into the eyeballs, cold running water, roughing up the skin, and a bunch of injections and needles waiting for that baby, right? And then they send it home to keep being brought back to have more stuff injected into it. And then they put it in a crib, and they put these wireless monitors there broadcasting microwaves constantly. And then what do? You hang the solar system on the crib, right? So the child learns at a young age that we're living on a spinning ball. And then it comes time to go to daycare, because they've got you working 4 jobs because no one wants to abolish the Federal Reserve, and the money keeps losing its value. And, the Disney Channel is turning everybody into, a bunch of sorcerers and witches and goblins and man-haters. And so the family's falling apart. And the man's out of the house. The welfare doesn't want the man in the house. That way you get your benefits and all your free crap. As long as there's no man around, you get your free stuff. And your children grow up without a dad, and they get to learn how to become a man by the rap music. And they train the police and the sheriffs and all the law enforcement agents to be predators and to use insiders and to escalate things into felonies so they can lock everybody up to make sure that the money keeps flowing into the system, so they get to buy these barbecue islands and bass boats and big trucks and retire at age 55, while your children languish in jail getting it up the backside by some guy that's 6'5" that's turned your son into somebody's B word. And all of this is intentional. In the meantime, you're looking at your purse and you're looking at your shoes, and you're at the school board meeting trying to hobnob with all the moms and show off your low budget cheap Mercedes you just leased, as you ignore all the Wi-Fi systems that have been installed in there as weapons, as you ignore all the weaponized curriculum that's destroying your children, as you ignore all the vaccine requirements that you're going along with because you want to have your PTA ladies' night out and drink your wine and look at yourself in the mirror because you think your husband doesn't pay attention to you. What have they done? What have they done? Well, they're not done doing it, folks. Not by a long shot. Anybody remember the Bolshevik Revolution? Remember what happened in Russia around the turn of the century, about the same time they ran the biggest electromagnetic and injection attack in history, at the time the Spanish flu rolled out. They financed the communist revolution in Russia and murdered the leaders and let the bloodshed begin, right? You thought the French Revolution was bad with, 40, 50,000 people losing their heads? How about 100 million Christians getting slaughtered by the Bolsheviks, right? What do you think's going on right now in Russia? Who do you think runs Russia right now? Who do you think runs Ukraine right now? What do you think is going on over there? Let me tell you something, folks. When the Russians attack Germany, then it's game on, okay? And by the way, that is going to be their plan, because there are two sides to this equation, folks. And you need to understand who's on what side. Whether it's the Russian communists or the Chinese communists or the Venezuelan socialists or the Cuban communists or the North Korean communists or the North Vietnamese communists or the socialists in Washington, D.C., or the imperialistic inbred scum that runs England, it doesn't matter. They're working for the deniers of Jesus Christ to slaughter the human cattle, and it is accomplished by a central bank model which seeks to control the money supply by giving a handful of people the power to print money so they can buy everything they want, everyone they need, and build all the weapons they'll ever desire so they can kill as many people as they want. All the while, they erect these institutions that we consider pillars of our society and fund and finance, like the elementary school districts and the high school districts and the junior college districts and the regents of the boards of the University of California and the Cal State system. The government education systems are designed to capture and imprison the minds of your children from a young age and train them to be mindless, worker bee, consumeristic, hedonistic, Christ-denying slaves of these devil-worshipping pedophilic scum. And they'll never wake up the longer they stay in the system. That is, of course, if you believe their lies. Because here's a fact, ladies and gentlemen. The power of Jesus Christ and his Holy Spirit literally blasts away the scales of the eyes of the blind. It takes away the power that they have over you by removing the fear of death and the guilt associated with the sin that they shove down your throat, shove through your eyes, shove through your ears, and shove into every orifice in your body at the speed of light, with every ounce of their being's intent hell-bent on inducing and subverting you into an evil, Satan-worshiping slave. When the fact of the matter is that one little word shall fail him. Jesus. And don't give me this pronunciation nonsense. I don't want to hear it. All right? The New Testament was not written in Hebrew, ladies and gentlemen. I rest my case. Now, Martin Luther was quite a guy. He was the father of the Protestant Reformation, which was nothing more than a very brazen breakaway from the Roman Kabbalistic mind control system called Catholicism, which is really just a blend of Christianity and Babylonian mysticism and paganism. And Martin Luther said, hey, we're done with your guy in the robe raping kids, raping children, and having your mass in Latin, and the people not being able to have Bibles and not understand anything. And so, these so-called priests would be up there on this altar. A lot of them had the Babylonian sun god on the tabernacle, as they faced this trophy of, like, we got him, the statue of the crucified Jesus. That's the trophy of the Catholic Church. We got him. He's dead. Look, we got him, right? No, that's their trophy. If the thing was legit, it would be a cave with the stone rolled away, right? But that's not what they're proving. And I don't want to hear, I'm not insulting Catholics. I'm insulting the Satanists that run it, okay? Just like the Americans. I'm not insulting Americans. I'm insulting the Satanists that run the country. So, Martin Luther said, enough of this. We want people to know who Jesus is and the power thereof. And, these beautiful cathedrals were built. And it's an amazing sight in Dresden, even though that human swine alcoholic Churchill, had, the United States and Churchill got together and firebombed Dresden and, murdered a bunch of civilians. But they destroyed this cathedral, but the statue of Luther withstood the attack. It's an amazing sight. As sickening as it is, the war on God, the war on Christianity. And communism is a war on Christianity, folks. It is really nothing more than a wind-up toy for the deniers of Jesus Christ to advance their satanic agenda. And if you'll notice, in all these communist countries, they hate Christianity. Is the biggest threat there is. You've got to worship the supreme leader, like in North Korea. That piece of trash, what's his name? Kim Jong sewage pipe poop. What's his name? That that thing that runs that country, that's got everybody worshiping him like a god. I mean, these communists hate Jesus, hate Christianity, and murder Christians. All of the people that you see that lead countries are total puppets. They're total stooges. Just like this clown in China. That I don't even know the guy's name. He looks like something has been inserted in his backside and sewed in there. The guy looks like he's got something stuck up his what. He looks very disturbed to me, and maybe he knows his days are numbered. I don't know. All these people, and we got look at Biden. Come on, that guy. I mean, he's a wax dummy. How do we have an Alzheimer's patient pedophile running our country? Well, we don't. He's not running anything. When you look at what's going on here, you will see that the Trotskyites, Bolsheviks, they're running the United States. It's all socialism. It's all hard communism. It's all anti-Christianism. It's the stops are all out. Everything on the television is diametric opposition to morality, a traditional Martin Luther type morality. The Christian worldview. It's literally, it's not under attack, folks. The Christian worldview is being erased from the minds of the American people. And the churches will never tell you to do what you need to do about it, okay? I have yet, in my 56 years of existence on the face of this plane that we live on, have I ever seen a pastor, a priest, an imam, a maharashi, a rabbi, any of them take a sledgehammer to a television and say, this is where we begin. Why? Because they're all working for the deniers of Jesus Christ to destroy God's children, and they will never, ever succeed. But there were false prophets also among the people, even as there shall be false teachers among you, who provably shall bring in damnable heresies, even denying the Lord that bought them, and bring upon themselves swift destructions, and many shall follow their pernicious ways, by reason of whom the way of the truth shall evil spoken of. And through covetousness shall they with feigned words make merchandise of you, whose judgment now of a long time lingereth not, and their damnation slumbereth not. Those words were written for the leaders in the first century as the impending judgment was about to befall the nation of Israel for denying their Messiah. Those words still hold true today. Those words still hold true today, ladies and gentlemen. There is a damnation for the leaders who lead us astray, and it's a greater damnation because they have the greater responsibility. There is a lot more blind trust in these people. You do not want to be one of them. Now, this message today has a lot of different content and context and a lot of directions and a lot of information. It's a hodgepodge of the mess we're in, folks, and it's just a minuscule expose scratching many surfaces of many issues. And there'll be more discussions to come, I guarantee it. This is Joe Imbriano, your host, coming to you in the name of Jesus Christ. Thank you for tuning in. I wish all of you a blessed day. A day of victory where you realize that everything that you've been taught is a lie, everything that you've been told is nonsense, and everything that you have been given for consumption is questionable. And I urge all of you to seek wisdom through the Holy Spirit of God, redemption through the power of Jesus Christ, forgiveness and atonement for your sin through his sinless shed blood, and live for him and look at everything through the lens of his eyes. And protect the windows to your soul, your eyes. Watch what you watch. Protect your ears and your mind and your heart and family and children and loved ones from the wiles of the devil, from all the spiritual attacks that are upon us. In Jesus' name, ladies and gentlemen, take care.